very much for the handover. Mostly when I do these sessions, I am a bit nervous. So what I was thinking is that rather than standing on the stage, I'll actually move around because I have a few slides. So I would want your attention probably to some of the core messages that I have here. And the other thing is, taking cue from just the previous session, I was just making notes, right? And coincidentally, some of the themes that I will be talking about are in line with what our guest just spoke about. So I think Anirban spoke about the coal value chain and the coal control tower. Now that is very interesting because what you will see today is how AWS is enabling some of the coal control tower or the coal supply chain, the coal value chain. I think there was another very interesting point made by one of the panelists around the ESG and the sustainability analytics. I think that's another very, very important area that AWS is investing in and what you will be seeing today. But before I do that, because the title of the presentation is Lighthouse, now you probably would have heard of McKinsey's and World Economic Forum's manufacturing lighthouses and the so-called lighthouse framework. At AWS, what we feel is across the industry, we have seen a disconnect between core manufacturing processes and supply chain. And that's where what we're trying to do is also align with the overall lighthouse message where you see sustainability as number one, as called out by World Economic Forum. And then there are other indicators that you have seen around productivity, cost, and others. You will see a lot of supply chain indicators here. Now this slide is very important. Why? Is because if you see here supply chain and manufacturing are actually part of the one integrated story rather than fragmented. And that's where what AWS believes is that when we talk to customer, let's not talk about piecemeal solutions like I will enable IBP for you or I will enable APO for you. Let's talk about an integrated manufacturing and supply chain story. And that's where right from manufacturing planning, manufacturing supply chain collaboration, and the execution becomes the imperatives. And I think the guest here talked about supply chain control tower. Now that's one of the core message as well. What you will see here is one slide or one story that I would request you to take back and remember, whatever percentage of it you can, is that what is a lighthouse? How do we enable a lighthouse? How is AWS's or Amazon's lens of seeing a lighthouse? You will see that not only just visibility, which is inbound visibility, ETAs, SLAs, and I think SLA was another topic in the previous discussion. It is also about how am I enabling root cause analysis to the next level of the failures that I have in supply chain. If I have not been able to meet certain SLAs, be it OTIF criteria, be it SLAs, what level of root cause analysis can I get down to? That's one of the core essence of a supply chain lighthouse or a control tower. Now you might have probably seen a lot of supply chain control towers. There are plethora of solutions. How AWS sees it is that a supply chain control tower or a lighthouse should first give you a complete visibility, which is yes, one of the founding principle of it. But beyond visibility, is it actually driving capacity optimization for you in the factory? Or you are running that through MES? Is my MES and supply chain story different? It cannot be. If it is, then it's not an integrated control tower story here. The last is partner collaboration. I mean, I keep meeting a lot of clients, opportunities that we keep discussing. One of the core problems that we see is how do we onboard partners when it comes to a supply chain control tower ecosystem. And that's one of the challenges that AWS has also taken up as an investment area, that when we talk about control tower, how do I bring the supply chain collaboration with partners? And that's where what you will see here is that unified story. If you want to take a picture, please go ahead. Because this is one of the most important elements, that when I talk about a manufacturing command control center, supply chain number 2 that you see here is part of it. It cannot be fragmented. I keep reiterating that fact. And that's where my automated quality control of what's going to a customer, surface inspection, surface defects, and others, cost of poor quality, cost of good quality, those are matrices. But can supply chain deliver those matrices? Absolutely. If it is not, then we are talking about fragmented story there. And therefore, that XXX lighthouse, XXX is, if you're delivering it for a client, that's my lighthouse, under which sits my supply chain, my process, my manufacturing, sustainability, and smart safety. The other important thing is that I talked about integrating manufacturing and supply chain, but how does it look like? Now, most of you would already have a digital transformation roadmap. And therefore, what you will see here are the foundational, beyond foundational, and transformational aspects of that roadmap, of which supply chain control tower, rough cut capacity plan, factory visibility, supply chain twin, supplier collaboration, those are the words that you will see are coming at different juncture of this roadmap. And therefore, it is important that when we are creating the roadmap, we should not create a digital roadmap, one for manufacturing, one for supply chain. It should be a part of the same story. This is your roadmap. And again, this is illustrative. And this is what I was talking about, 360-degree manufacturing practice, of which, if you see, overall equipment effectiveness is what manufacturing personas, they do regularly. On the right-hand side, if you see OTIF commitments, you will see material readiness for dispatch. You will see plan and actual forecast accuracies. That's my integrated story. Now, during my roadmap, if I'm unable to baseline these indicators, then again, the disparate story comes into the picture. So therefore, this is another one I want you to take back, and probably, if you want to take a picture of this, this is very, very important. Why? Because we are talking of asset downtime, my capacity constraints, my raw material non-availability, issues around operators' confidence, issues around rework percentages. For automotive companies here, rework percentage is one of the area they want to look at. For CPG companies, I think fulfillment, shelf life planning becomes very important. How am I driving shelf life planning through this integrated story? That has to be tied back to my OEE of my line, which is manufacturing that, right? So therefore, if you see how AWS work with client, is that our supply chain lighthouse or a control tower has few very important elements. Of course, there are Amazon, AWS managed services and services which are fueling it, but the core of it, it starts from network visibility, factory visibility, which is what you're making in the factory, the downtime, root cause analysis and diagnostics. There is a terminology, a lot of large CPG companies, in fact, the top 20 of the Gartners, have started using something called prognostic root cause for supply chain. And therefore, what AWS is doing is that, can I bring prognostic root cause analysis as part of my supply chain control tower? The last part is the fulfillment insights. Products reaching customers' premises, what are the issues? What are the challenges that I'm facing? Am I able to meet the requirements? And can I do a root cause analysis around that? So a control tower should give you first root cause, second, of course, it starts with visibility, then root cause, and then the prescription. And that's where I think the previous session very interestingly talked about integrated business plan. Now that's your SNOP story. That's your IBP story here on that slide. At the core of it is the control tower. That is how control tower is actually ensuring that your IBP story, material planning story, your master planning story, your DDMRP story is all integrated. And that's the value of a control tower beyond visibility. A lot of CIOs, CDOs, and supply chain heads said, मैं सप्लाई चेन कंट्रोल टावर का इन्वेस्टमेंट को जस्टिफाई कैसे करूंगा? आपको जस्टिफाई करने का जरूरत नहीं है. If you have these capabilities, it is self-investable, which is it will find the investment by itself. You don't need to run after justifying ROI to your board. And that's for, and this is another one. If you want to take a picture, please go ahead. Use case that a supply chain control tower drives. The fundamental of it is a situation room, root cause analysis, allocation plans, alert notification, which is become very basic ask, inventory projection through your IBP or through your material planning, and the last is phase in, phase out planning. For CPG customers here, phase in, phase out is very important. End of life products, shelf life, FIFO compliances, and therefore the three use cases which really is driving your scenario plans, your root cause analysis are these three. So when you're thinking of, and this is a takeaway for you today's session, if you're thinking of a supply chain control tower, these three, please do keep them in mind, because these should be part of your overall plan somewhere. And I think I'm almost running out of time. There is, of course, Amazon has its own best practices of supply chain, and we have a breakout session later on. Please reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to learn from Amazon sessions where we share how's Amazon managing its supply chain and fulfillment centers, and some of the core best practices around last mile, around Amazon Air and stuff like that. At AWS, we have supply chain which cuts across all these manufacturing verticals. This is just for your information. And what we have done in the last 2 or 3 years is really verticalized, saying that in CPG, how do I ensure a control tower? In automotive, what does the control tower look like? For a metals company, how does the control tower look like? So we have really verticalized those sales plays, right? And that's where we request you to talk to us and see if it makes sense for you. And therefore, we also have something called a supply chain discovery, which is a complementary thing for you, where you actually know where does control tower fit in, where does a lighthouse fit in, how's my manufacturing and supply chain integrated, how can I do the baselining. So that's a complimentary session of a 3 to 5 week engagement that we offer. And a lot of people say POC karna hai, POV karna hai, and especially Indian customers say POC karna hai. I mean, a service provider, how many POCs will that poor person do, yeah? I mean, that's where what we have seen is that we have started taking to the next level, prototypes. No POC. We have prototypes for each of the industry. Let's see if that prototype works for you. If it works with the minimal customization, that's the product for you. So we have actually gone to a next level of prototypes. And again, when you talk to us, we will share more details about prototype. It says time's up, but just one last slide maybe. One thing which is very, very important is Jeff's working backward philosophy, right? And I don't know if you've seen this, but working backward is the core of everything that we do. A very interesting story I'll share. This is one of the largest metals company. We were meeting the CDO of that company, and then he has invited other players also. So हम उनके पास गए और बोले sir, you know what? मेरे पास we have Amazon forecast, we have these solutions. Do you want to look at it? वो बोलता boss last 15 दिन से आ रहा है बंदा और बोल रहा है सर मेरे पास ये प्रोडक्ट है कभी आप क्लाइंट का सुनते हो कि उसको क्या चाहिए? And that's where working backwards makes very, very kind of a sense, right? Because it says yes, we have prototypes, yes, we have solutions, but it starts with hearing your needs first. I can't take what I've made in auto to a CPG, right? And that's where the verticalized play, customized product becomes very, very important. So Amazon, kind of breathes by the working backwards. When we engage with you, that's something that we use, a paper prototype or a working backwards. And that's it. Thank you very much.